Well, it turns out we might get some closure after all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swagahas. And in this one, we got ourselves an update on the Hero Restoration case. You guys remember that one that came out last year? The big news in comic collecting land. Owner Mike DeChallis of Hero Restoration had basically ghosted all of his clients. You know, this massive operation that did pressing, cleaning, restorative services. He had like millions of dollars of inventory and nobody was getting their books back. Well, it turns out Mike was arrested in Oregon just the other day, where he had been reported to have stolen $300,000 in comic books. And so in this video, I wanted to cover this article, give you guys a little bit of an update, and also try to put a little bit of a bow on the story. Maybe a happy ending can be had with this one, because there are still good restorers out there in the community. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Helps support the channel doing those things. But let us get into this video here today. There you guys see the headline: Oregon man arrested in connection with theft of $300,000 in comic books. This is an article by Bill Poehler. I'm just going to read through it quickly and then I'll kind of do a little bit of a recap on what had happened with the whole situation. An Amesville man accused of selling $300,000 in comic books that he was being paid to restore was arrested on Wednesday on 12 charges of theft. The 57-year-old man owned a business called Hero Restoration in Lebanon, according to the Lynn County Sheriff's Office. Customers from Colorado, Connecticut, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Washington had sent him comics to restore. The Amesville man filed with Security State Office to dissolve his business in 2023, but Lynn County investigators found that some of the comic books were sold online or to a private comic book dealer in Washington. Police were unable to locate the man for several months until they found him living in the 10,000 block of Staten Road in Amesville. When police arrested him on Wednesday, they also seized comic books and other evidence of theft. People who suspect they were victims of the theft from the man were encouraged to call the number down below, 541-967-3950. And that's the basic gist of the article. I will put a link to this thing in the description. If you're somebody out there who was actually affected by the whole Hero Restoration debacle, definitely reach out to that phone number. Maybe you can kind of figure out, how to get some of your books back, or you can kind of get, some of the money that you may be owed by Hero Restoration. But let me go back a little bit and kind of explain this story if you guys aren't familiar with it. Now, it was last year, kind of later in the year, around October, November, maybe even earlier than that, sometime in the summer, that, you see here on social media, a lot of people had been having issues with this company, Hero Restoration. Now, Hero Restoration was a company that this guy Mike created that, of course, could do, restoring your books. He could do pressing and cleaning services. And he had at the time, a fairly good reputation. I mean, people were trusting him with 5-figure, 6-figure, big books, to the tune of like AF-15s and a lot of Golden Age keys and things of that nature. And so he was getting tons of work, tons of inflow. And basically it got to the point where he started to ghost a lot of his customers. I think, the story is that his business was expanding too much. I think he had some, maybe mental issues and life issues, and the anxiety got to him, and he started, having to steal money from selling off comic books, and then he was ghosting customers. So it was a whole debacle. I mean, shout out to, Bronze and Modern Gods here, and also Bronze Age Nerd. They did great videos, kind of covering the story. I'm not going to fully go into it, but you can even see, from the thumbnail here that Bronze and Modern Gods has, even Hero Restoration was making posts in the CGC forums, sort of defending what was actually going on right there. Again, there were many threads talking about this stuff, and, if you guys are really so inclined, you guys can definitely search them and sort of see the conversation that was going on. But definitely it reached a boiling point to where, it seems like he kind of fell off the map and the police couldn't actually find the guy. And actually the site that I'm on right now is a site that kind of aggregates all this information about, this person, what he did, the scam he was actually able to pull off, and has links to all of the CGC boards and the videos in here. I'll link this website as well, but it feels like we are getting, the official end to this story where they actually were able to find the guy. Now, there's still a lot of customers out there that were, affected by this. I mean, there's still a lot of people that even if they were able to get some of their books back, which some clients actually were able to get their books back, they weren't able to get their deposits back, or maybe the money that they actually paid Mike to, do the work on the book. They just never actually got the service done. But shout out to Kenny Sanderson here, from Sanderson Studios. He's another person who is well respected within the community, who does a lot of restoration work, who does a lot of pressing and cleaning services, and is always sharing, the massive books that he works on. And it turns out that some people actually sent some of the hero restoration books to Kenny to actually be worked on, including, a couple that are some Action Comics. And this one right here, an Incredible Hulk #1. I just kind of want to share with you guys some of these stories and information to show you guys kind of what a train wreck it actually was over at Hero Restoration. Here's another chapter in the Mike DeChallis Hero Resto saga. This copy of Hulk 1 was sent to Mike many years ago because it was thought to have a married centerfold. And at the time, Mike said he was going to restore it to a 9/6 facepalm. So, Kenny has these photos right here, and you guys can actually see the centerfold was thought to be married. At least I think that was what Mike had told the customer. Thankfully, he did nothing to it. And even better news is he returned it recently to the owner, but not the cash that was paid up front. I was sent the book last week to inspect, and here's what I found. The centerfold is original. You can see where the staple holes line up, and the tear marks on the centerfold match where tears with the original. It also has identical printer wrinkles that match perfectly with the original. These are like markings inside the barrel of a gun. No barrel is the same. It also has wear marks that match the flaws made by the blade when the comic was cut during production. All these clues adds to up to this book is the original, with the only anomaly being that it has 2 sets of staples, which again seems likely was done during production. So this book will be submitted to CGC as is, and hopefully land in a blue label, with worst case scenario being I remove the set of added staples. I still can't believe that Mike recommended full restoration on this book, even if he thought it had married pages. So there you guys can sort of see that, it has sort of matching defects on the staples. And this is sort of the, detective work that graders have to do, as well as pressers, cleaners, restorers like Sanderson has to do for their clients when they're trying to kind of match the stuff. You can see the pages match right there in terms of the printer lines, and even like the color tones of the pages. These are all the things that people look at. But it's really interesting that, it seemed like, Mike over at Hero Restoration was definitely in over his head, with a lot of things, a lot of anxiety going on, not paying close attention to detail. And can you imagine, this beautiful, Incredible Hulk 1 right here probably would grade, a 6.0, 6.5, 7.0. He was going to restore it, all the way to a 9.6, which again, that would have been a feat in and of itself to restore it up to that level. But it doesn't stop there, because Sanderson actually had another story that I wanted to read with you guys. And this one, maybe can actually get a happy ending, which I'll talk about after I read this post. Here's some final closure on these poor, unfortunate books. The now infamous Action 7 and 10 that a client sent to Mike DeChallis at Hero Restoration many, many years ago, when the promise was made to Mike to turn them into HG restored copies. The before scans of these books are as they were bought by the client at auction from Heritage for over $43,000. So let me kind of pause right there. Here you see an Action Comics #7. This is the third Superman cover, I believe that it is. Was a purple label in a 5.0 grade. What Mike had actually done was crack it out of the book. And listen, I'm no restorer, I'm no cleaner, I'm no presser. But going from that into Hero Restoration doing that, I don't know what he did, nor do I know what the intention of what he was trying to do with this book was, but that doesn't look right. So Kenny Sanderson was able to kind of clean up that work and do what he could to preserve the book as much as he can, and it came back this conserve grade at a 1.5. But let me continue with the writing here. The raw photos are the covers that Mike sent to me on the client's behalf during because he couldn't finish the books. Then finally, CGC conserve graded slab pics are after I did my best to leaf cast the covers and interior, turn them back into copies that could not only be graded, but hopefully sell in auction. The owner can recoup a little bit of the money he is out. So this was the Action 7. Then there was this Action 10 right here, which you can see was already a low grade. That's how the owner actually bought it. And then when he was sent over to Hero Restoration, again, not really sure what Mike was trying to do with this book, but all of a sudden the book fell into pieces, and it looks like it's even more desaturated than what it already was, with the water damage on it. And then Kenny Sanderson was able to kind of piece it all back together, leaf cast it as best he could, and it came back this 0.5 conserve grade. They are being sent to Comic Connect by request of the owner, and I believe will be in their upcoming auction. So bid on them if you want to own a piece of comic history or need entry-level copies of these incredibly rare early Superman books, or just want to help a poor guy who sent these to Mike in good faith, only to see them ruined. If anybody had books with Hero, please contact me and I'll put you in touch with the detective in charge of the case. Thanks, and please let's all stick together, not stick it to each other. Pay it forward. So there you see it, guys. And this is kind of, where I think it's kind of cool, or maybe the silver lining is maybe there's going to be a happy ending to this story, because here we are in Comic Connect. In just 16 days, these books will actually be up for auction. You can see the Action Comics 7 right here, now in a conserved 1.5 grade. Again, the second Superman cover. Forgive me, I think I said it was the third Superman cover. And then you have this one right here, Action Comics number 10, the third Superman cover, which is him, blasting the plane right there. And again, this one is now in a conserved 0.5 with brittle pages. I think that that's probably an accurate grade from CGC right there. But, pretty cool to see that these books are actually going to be going on sale. And I'm pretty sure that, the seller of these books is unlikely to get that $45,000 that he originally got for them, when he paid for the purple labels, and who knows how much he would have had to pay, Hero Restoration as well for the services. I'm sure it was in the, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 range, when you're working on books of this sort of value. But it'll be cool to see, if someone ends up, buying these books and them finding a good home. And now they have this interesting story all behind them, which again, I think is kind of the cool part of, comic book collecting. What is the spirit behind the book? Who are the people that owned it before? What's the history of it? Apparently for these books, they will forever be known as the Hero Restoration scandal, the theft of $300,000 in comic books. Well, there you have it, guys. That's a wrap up to the Hero Restoration saga. What do you guys think about all this? I think at the time I did a little bit of coverage on this. And, for me, it was really just kind of talking about the trust and the faith you have to put into, people within the community and the businesses. I mean, nobody's perfect. And Hero Restoration at the time definitely had a good reputation. But I think life happened to that guy. And, just a lot of unfortunate, issues occurred, and a lot of people got hurt, and a lot of books got lost, and people lost out on money. And I guess that's kind of the, the risk that we all take when we put faith and trust into, people within the hobby. But like Kenny Sanderson and what Sanderson Studios is doing, there's a lot of great people as well. And I just hope that all the victims of Hero Restoration are able to, get some closure out of this, maybe get in contact with the detective, or I'll put links in the article. You guys can call the phone numbers and follow up on this. Now that they have Mike in custody, it'll see where everything goes from here. Anyways, that's all for this video. What do you guys think about the story? Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.